Alright, so we are live right now. Okay, let's create a new why do I not see my pen? Oh, there we go. Wait, something is wrong with my pen though. Wait. There we go, that's better. Alright. So zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Alright, that's the most important part. How do I... Okay. G... No... B... P... Nah. What did I just do? And then Control Z. Alright. It's like every time I start the stream, it's like I have to get used to everything again, you know, like it's Alright, let me see if I can open the stream on my phone real quick so that I can look at the comments. Let's check if everything sounds good as well. Stream is like I have to get used to everything again, you know, like it's Alright, it sounds good. What about the music? Let me see if I can open the stream on my phone real quick so that I can... I do not hear the music. Wait a second, let me see if I can fix that real quick. I'm not sure if this is gonna change it. Look at the comments. Alright, sounds good. What about the music? Alright, it's way too loud now. Bring it down a little bit. It should be around here. Maybe my voice is a little loud as well. Alright, let's see if we can bring that down. That should be a little bit better. And then, yeah. Alright. Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. And today, we're gonna be doing some drawings. Yeah, so just today, I found out that there's this cryptid called the Burrojon or something like that. It's basically a dinosaur-like creature that they have reported, like, to spot it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like they spotted a creature and they described it as basically as looking like a dinosaur, which is pretty fascinating to me. Why am I unable to draw straight lines? Wait a second, hold up. So I'm just trying to draw like a little thing to draw in. Let's see, how do I change the size of my brush, man? There was a button for it. No, not N. What did I just do? Alright, V maybe? Maybe S? It's not S. Alright, not that either. I believe it was okay. Brush size. Yeah, that's not it either. I might have to look it up. Wait, let me ask AI. Just gonna... AI is always Rainer, welcome to the stream, man. Hi Dinosaur, how's it going? I'm good, man, how are you? So, to tell you guys a little bit more on like what I was planning to draw, there's this cryptid, this like dinosaur creature that was sighted in, I think in 1985, before the time that we even knew that dinosaurs had feathers, and they described seeing a reptile that looked like a dinosaur, but instead of it having like a leathery skin, it actually had a texture like feathers. And at the time it was like really weird, because like, you know, why would you lie about seeing a creature that has feathers? You know, like, if you're trying to be believable, if you're trying to come up with a believable story, why would you, you know, tell people that you saw a dinosaur that had feathers, you know? But they reported seeing this creature, and it was about like 8 meters long, which is crazy if you think about it. And it apparently, in the area that they saw it, they had found evidence of a really large dromaeosaurid living there. It was like a reptile-like creature, reptile-like dinosaur, and basically it matches the description of what they said that they saw. So to me, that's pretty fascinating, to be honest. Like, it's really, really fascinating, because I am a believer of the Bible, and the Bible is kind of like telling us that, you know, God created everything. He created basically men and animals in the same time, you know, like he created all animals and man at the same time. So that's kind of fascinating to think about it, because, you know, like, how is that possible? Like, where do dinosaurs fit into this whole picture, you know? And I did some research, and apparently like, there's a lot of sightings all around the world of people like claiming to have seen dinosaurs, especially like some time ago, like the early explorers that were going around the world, you know, exploring new areas, and they would actually describe creatures that are very much like extinct dinosaurs and even extinct creatures, like, all around. So yeah, it fascinates me. Alright, so let me read the chat. Like, I don't know how there's so many people like already talking in the chat. Alright, Vex Short says hello. I am back again. Sorry I was late in mouth. Wait, what is that? Mouth and mouth. Reiner, I'm doing okay. I'm making some chocolate chip cookies and cream protein pancakes. That sounds good, man. That sounds really good. Mathit, welcome to the stream, man. Cryptid dinosaurs. I knew about Mokele Mbembe, but not something like this. Yeah, so the Mokele Mbembe is also very fascinating, because it's basically like somewhere in the Congo, where there's like people that live in nature. Like, they basically haven't really, back in the days when they discovered this cryptid, they didn't have cell phones, or they didn't have internet or something like that. So these people did not know what dinosaurs looked like. And but they did have a myth, or not even a myth, they did have a creature that they were really scared of, and they called it the Mokele Mbembe. Basically, this creature was big enough to scare away elephants and kill hippos in the river. And if you saw it, you were lucky to survive, because this thing was extremely aggressive. So when they took out a book and they showed them all of these animals, you know, like they recognized all of the animals, like just the normal African animals, you know, like elephants and stuff like that, and like other types of animals that were in their area, and they wouldn't recognize the other kind of animals that were not in their area, you know, like they showed them some other animals as well that they should not know. But then they also showed them a long-necked dinosaur, and this long-necked dinosaur was basically, they called it, like, they started screaming and jumping around and stuff like that, and just saying like Mokele Mbembe, Mokele Mbembe. So they recognized this animal, and they claimed that this was exactly the animal that they have been fearing for many years, for many generations. Many lives have been lost because of this creature, and it's fascinating because these people recognize like this animal as if it's like a real living animal that lives among them right now. But science says that it should not be possible, you know? Well, if it's true, you know, if the Bible is true and we were created alongside dinosaurs, that kind of makes more sense than, you know, believing in the Bible, but also, thinking that dinosaurs lived like 65 million years ago. Because these kinds of stories are fascinating. Like, it's pretty crazy if you think about it. Alright, Reiner. So God decides to put a Mount Everest-sized asteroid at the dinosaurs. A Mount Everest-sized asteroid. I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. Like, the thing about this is that obviously, like, the Bible speaks about the time of Noah. There were lots of corrupted, like, basically it's like the fallen angels and stuff. They corrupted mankind so bad to the point where God said that it had to end, and He chose the one good family that was still living by His rules, and they were truly good people. He chose them to build an ark and to take 2 animals of each sex, of every kind of animal, and get them in the ark to survive a great flood. So Method said, now the thing is, many descriptions, one could be faked, lied, or they just saw a glimpse and made it look and sound more impressive when in reality was something entirely different. Or they took some substance. Method, maybe they were smoking crack or tripping. Well, the thing about this story, the Mokele Mbembe, is that there was a explorer that was very respected back in the days, and he actually went ahead and he went into the Congo, and when he came back he had all these stories of like discovering lost creatures, like creatures that should not exist anymore. And he described that they were talking about the Mokele Mbembe and stuff like that, and that's basically how it became really famous eventually. He also saw like really big crocodiles, and he claimed to have seen the Stegosaurus and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. Like, you never know. You truly don't really know. Like, what if it's true? Now, I believe in God as well, but I think Genesis 1 is basically BS. I believe that God rather used evolution to shape things and maybe set a step back for some time to let things run. Well, it could be that way. Like, the thing is, I think that Genesis is okay. So if we're talking about a God that is able to create anything, right? Like, we're talking about the creator of everything. Why would He not be able to do it in the way that Genesis says? I'm not going to dismiss it because I don't understand it. Thinking that you know everything basically implies that you know nothing. I'm just I don't even know what I'm drawing, to be honest. Like, I'm not really putting any thought into it. It's like really random right now. I'm trying to imagine that you're like standing on this river shore over here, and there's just this water is just going wild, and you're just standing here, and then you just see a creature. You don't really know what it is because you can barely see it because of the vegetation and stuff like that, but like, you see that it's something that you've never seen before, maybe something that should not be there. Maybe you recognize what it is, but you just don't dare to say anything because it shouldn't be alive, it shouldn't be there, Well, Okay, so Reina said, method, he also let evolution force species of animals to either adapt or get weeded out. Because we can literally observe the crater from the KPG extinction, and if we think about the flood, there were only 2 animals of each species, which literally can't work. The same for humans. Yeah, it's true. According to what we know, certain things are impossible. But, I mean, just because things are impossible for us doesn't mean that they're impossible for God. The thing about the universe is that if for example, right, if this is the Earth, right, and that's basically all we know about the Earth. This little dot right there is all that we know, even less than that probably. And the Earth, if you look at the Earth in like the universe itself, you can't even see it because it's just so small. So if this is all the knowledge that we have available to us right now, then what else is out there? Just because we don't understand something doesn't mean that it's impossible. And again, like I said before, you know, like the thing about thinking that you know is basically implying on what you don't know yet. People that think that they don't know anything know that there's so much out there that there's no way that they can know anything. People that think that they already know everything haven't seen the world yet, or at least haven't seen enough yet to realize how much they haven't seen. Alright, so what are we drawing next? I don't even know, to be honest. Alright, guys, give me something to draw. I'll try to draw it. It's just gonna be a really quick sketch though. It's not gonna be really a big completed drawing. True, but still with carbon dating, we can literally calculate how old stuff is. The thing about carbon dating is that if you carbon, like for example, right, there's been an account of they basically found a fossilized bee or something like that, and it looked exactly like the bee that we have today. And they compared everything about this bee to the bee that we have today, but apparently this bee was like more than like 100 million years old. And then they did the same with like a normal house mouse. They found a mouse that was fossilized, and apparently that thing was also millions of years old, even though we have the same thing right now. But according to evolution, you know, this mouse was not supposed to be in that time period because he hasn't evolved yet. Try T-Rex resting. Okay. I'll try. How does a T-Rex rest? Alright, let's just do it. Alright. So the head is gonna be right over here, right? He's gonna be resting, so he's gonna like laying on the ground, right? And then his neck would be curved backwards a little bit, and then we would see his hips would kind of be like that, I guess. Rib cage over there. But how would he have his legs though? Maybe one leg over here like that. And then like this? Maybe? I don't know. And then he would have his tail go like this, probably, right? I am such a messy drawer. Alright, and what are we gonna make this T-Rex look like? I am so rusty when it comes to like drawing in general. It's actually not even funny. Alright, there we have a resting T-Rex. Maybe his eyes should be closed, right? Maybe that looks a little better. I don't even know what it looks like for you guys, because I have a gigantic screen in front of me, so... yeah. It's like a gigantic monitor in front of me. And I know that we didn't have grass back in those days, so I'll just draw some plants around it like this, and then I'll just draw some rocks that are just sitting there, you know, maybe a really big rock right in front of us right here. And then some trees in the background, maybe. Maybe one tree that's like right here in the foreground, so it looks like we're kind of like seeing it in between some trees, you know? Maybe I want this rock to be a little bit more round. And let's just color it in a little bit, so that it looks like it's not really in the background, it's still a little bit in the foreground. There we have a T-Rex resting. At least that, like, you know, it doesn't look perfect, but like it looks like something at least. Evolution chooses that works best. Perfect design doesn't need change. Some change will of course happen, but could be very limited. Crocodiles, sharks, and ants. For simplicity's sake, do the Jurassic Park design. I mean, I would have to redesign this one though. The Jurassic Park design like has, it looks like the head is like way wider than it actually. And it has like a really dark spot like that. Alright, it doesn't look exactly like the Jurassic Park T-Rex, but it looks good enough to me. Alright, next. What are we gonna draw next? Why am I so bad at drawing lines? The thing about a drawing tablet is that it's completely smooth, so it's not like paper. You don't really have any friction that will cause you to feel if you're changing direction. Like for example, if I'm drawing a line and I do this, I don't feel the change. Like for example, like right here, I would have to feel the change of direction. You know, for example, like the paper would push down there, and then here the paper would start to you know, create friction on that side of the pen, and then here doing, here doing the same thing, you know. But that doesn't happen because the drawing tablet is completely smooth. So that makes me unable to like draw straight lines without realizing when I'm like, you know, when I'm off, you know. Method. T-Rex would be the theropod to see flowers. That's true. method indeed. The bull shark has the highest level of testosterone in any animal. Draw Guanlong in a flower field. Guanlong. Alright, I would have to grab my tablet for that real quick because I need reference. Wait, I apparently have space. Okay, let's see. Guanlong. I have drawn that one before many times, but I just don't know. Alright, let's go to Google real quick. Why is it not working? Guanlong in a field of flowers. It's a good one. Wait, does this pen work? No, it doesn't work on this one. Alright. Alright, where's Google? Nothing is happening. Does the pen not work anymore or something? I need new batteries. Yeah, the pen doesn't work anymore. Okay. Guanlong. Oh yeah, it's that one. I do recognize that one. It's not easy to draw though. Isn't the Guanlong feathered? So oh wait, okay, let's see. The beginning of the Tyrannosaurid family. I never knew that though. Alright, let me put my tablet somewhere. Right here should be fine, right? Yeah, it should be fine. Okay. Give me a composition like excuse me, sorry. Alright, so give me a composition like what is he doing, where's he looking, like what's the perspective of the drawing? And it has to be something good that actually looks good. You can't just say like, oh, it's like so far away in the distance that you can barely see it. Like, I'm not gonna draw something like that. Guanlong very likely had feathers. Okay. Guanlong also wasn't a really big theropod. No, it was about the size of a cat. Nah, about the size of a big dog. A really big dog. Scratching his head. Ooh. Scratching his head. What do you mean, man? What are you making me do? Okay, scratching his head. How would that look? Probably something like this. Wait, I have to close my eyes and visualize what I'm gonna draw, because this is hard. Alright, so his head would kind of be like bigger because it's coming towards us. He has a pretty long face as well, so something like that. And then we would see the big crest like going up right here. That's a weird shape. It's a really weird shape. Alright, anyways, let's see. So here we have the side of his skull. Would he have had lips? I think he would have, right? And you guys think he would have been able to scratch his head with his hand, maybe? Oh, that's actually a good question. Oh, that's gonna make everything even more difficult. I'm just gonna make him scratch his head with his leg. I think he has a pretty long neck, so we should be able to like. And then his leg would be like all the way up, and then something like this. I don't know what I'm doing, man. Alright, something like this. An enemy just went out the window. Oh wait, his leg would be more like that. And then his body would kind of be twisted a little bit as well. Rib cage, hip. And then his tail would kind of be doing something weird like that maybe. And then over here we would have a hand going down, and then obviously he would be balancing his weight on one leg right here. Something like that. I mean, the line of action looks alright, you know, it's not the worst, but I don't know, man. My sketching is so messy. I should actually make a new layer and draw over this. Make it look a little bit better. So he had 3 fingers though. Longer arms compared to T-Rex. Yeah, that's true. I'm seeing that. So his arm attaches somewhere over there. So we have to see something like that. And then his 3 claws. I'm just gonna draw it really quickly because I'm gonna go over it anyways. And then over here, this one would be a little bit tugged in because otherwise his elbow would hit his leg. Something like that, I guess. Rib cage again. And then we're gonna just draw 3 toes. 1, 2, 3. Scratching his head. The motion of scratching his head, at least. Almost looks like a hand, man. I really need to work on this anatomy a little bit better. I think it would be more like right there. But then it kind of messes up the... doesn't matter, it's okay. Alright, so here we have the base. And it's really, really basic. It's just a really quick sketch. That's both cute and kind of freaky to imagine. What? Wait, I believe how Guanlong would scratch its head would probably be by lowering its head to be at even level with its hand. Yeah, I don't know. Probably, but the thing about it though is like, okay, so let's look at like the anatomy of this animal, right? Head, long neck, long body, long tail, maybe a little bit too long right now, but it's okay. And then we would have, you know, pretty decently sized like legs right here. But then the hands, they are long, but like, I don't know, man. It's like you're looking at a... Okay, if you look at a dog, right? A dog can scratch his head with his front and back paws. But usually when he scratches his head, when he actually scratches his face, he uses the back paws. Because, I don't know, like maybe that's easier, you know, like there's just more space. There's not that much space between it, if that makes sense. Like the neck, I don't know how to explain it, man. But for example, like in order for him or her to scratch the head, they would have to like put the neck in a very unnatural situation, and then the head would be kind of like that. And it's possible, but like, I don't know. It just looks so unnatural. But if he would just bend to the side with his head, lift up one leg, he would be able to like scratch the side of his face probably. So that's why I'm doing it like this. I'm trying to delete all of that real quick. but because I can't draw, I always use so many different lines just for a simple thing that I just drew too much. I literally cannot delete this. I need to use the eraser for this. It's crazy. I need to be more confident with my lines. I need to learn that. But all right, let's make a new layer real quick. There we go. And then we're gonna lower the opacity of this layer real quick. Wait, what did I just do? No, not like that. Like this. Opacity. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. Alright, and then we're gonna go to this one, and we're just gonna do a normal pen that will, you know, they will always be the same thickness, I'm guessing. We're gonna zoom in a little bit more, and we're gonna refine everything. Even though, again, like this is gonna be disaster, but we'll see. So it looks like he or she has a very straight, what's it called? Straight, what do you call that? Jawline, there we go. Alright, and then, wait a sec, what's happening over here? Yo, what's happening over here? Wait, maybe this is a little bit too extreme. Yeah, it is. Let's turn it down to like 19. Alright, and then over here, the back of his face, it looks like he has like, his eye ridge is like right there, or his eyebrow is like right there. And I don't know how much further this like extends to the front of the snout, or the front of the mouth, but yeah, we'll just keep it like this. And then probably would have had a very rounded eye. And the reason why it looks so big, I don't know if this is right though. It looks a little weird to me. Why is it adjusting so much? Why is it like... Is it really this thing? What is this? Correction, yeah. Alright, what if I put that on 0? It won't... It still corrects though. Why? What did I do? Why is it doing that? Corrector. What is this? I don't understand. I have no idea how this stuff works, man. Like, maybe it's just because I'm zoomed in so far that we're seeing that. Maybe it's part of the drawing thing, whatever. Alright, I'll just draw this really roughly. It looks so stupid. It's alright though, it's alright. We're gonna add some feathers here. Actually, a lot of feathers there. And then some feathers at on the back. Okay, I don't like this jawline though. I'm messing up so bad. Like, it's alright. It's alright. Alright, and then this hand. Yeah, it doesn't look very good because we're zoomed in so far. So and if it had feathers, maybe the hands were just like that. And then this hand would be like this, and then of course they can't really point their fingers downwards like in Jurassic Park, but they can kind of point their fingers outwards or inwards like this, I mean. Alright. Draw some feathers over here as well. And over here. And then we're gonna get into the leg. So if I look at this, I think that here would be the knee. And then over here we would have kind of like going this way. Maybe this would be a little thinner. And then a really big and large calf muscle because of the fact that it's like flexing. Not flexing. What do you call this again? It's like, I don't even know. You know what I mean, right? And then on the tail we'll create some little bit of, because they were proto feathers. I think that's what they were called. So it's not like really kind of feathers that we would see in birds today, but they would have been called proto feathers. All right. Oh, what did I just do? There we go. All right, let's get into this eye a little bit more. Just make it look a little bit more scary. Even though I'm not saying that it doesn't look scary already, but like it already looks pretty scary, to be honest. It looks more like a Spinosaur or something like that. I don't like this jawline. I'm gonna redraw that real quick. Because I think it's supposed to be a little bit more straight. And it should go like that, maybe like the fur or like the feathers would kind of catch up over there. Yeah, something like that. And then maybe we should create some shadow inside of that area. And of course we need to take care of this foot as well. And he should kind of be like pointing one toe at least, like right at us, right, like that. And then maybe like the little claw on the side over there. And who knows, maybe he had like feathers, you know, going all the way down the feet as well. And you said he should be standing in a field of flowers, right? Who knows what kind of flowers would have been in like, during that time? You never know. I'm really bad at drawing. Wait, actually, let's make it a horizon line real quick. You know, because it's gonna be a field full of flowers, but in like, you know, right there, you won't really be able to see much detail. So it's just gonna be a bunch of scribbly lines, I guess. And then the closer you get, of course, you're gonna be able to see some more of the structure of the flower. And maybe they're gonna be really big because, you know, they're really close over here. But I'm not gonna draw every individual flower, so I'm just, you know, I'm just gonna create a couple of them and then change it up a little bit and, you know, create some plants as well here and there. Because, I mean, you did tell me to create this dinosaur standing in like a field of flowers, but the problem is like drawing a field of flowers is insane. You know, a field of flowers. I don't really know how to draw all the individual. Oh wait, I forgot to draw his foot. Alright, so for the people that just joined, somebody asked me to draw, Method asked me to draw a Guanlong standing in the field of flowers while scratching his face. and I must say it's a very challenging thing. But I'm trying, and I'm not gonna, be precise with everything. I'm just trying to get something out. Like I want to be able to like draw a couple of things, and not just be busy with one thing for like 3 hours, just drawing every individual flower. All right, there you go. Field of flowers. Yo, it's a Noxel. Welcome, man. Nice of you to join the stream. Can you take a guess of what this is? Or maybe you just already, maybe you already heard what I was explaining earlier. But yeah. So far, what we have is the cryptid, as well. So I was actually at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about like a cryptid that basically the story goes as follows. So, why is my AI thingy activating on my phone? So basically there was this family, and this family, they went somewhere to Australia, and they went like near a very big natural, what is it called, like a reservation area. And this reservation area is about the size of like, how big the Netherlands is? The Netherlands is pretty small, but it's like 2.5 times the size of the Netherlands, and there's almost no people living there. And so this is basically like the world's most remote natural area that we have today. And so this family, they go to this place where you can, cross the river with a bunch of ropes, and like it's just a fun little activity. And then maybe there's like, it's like an what's it called, like a tourist attraction or something, like lots of tourists go there, I'm guessing, because it's like a pretty known area, where you can just go there and just have fun and just cross the river with these ropes and just have a fun day. But then this family described seeing a creature, and mind you, this was in 1985, right? So by the time that we discovered that dinosaurs, well, okay, I'll just first explain the story. So they see this creature, right? And they describe seeing a creature that looks exactly like a dinosaur, with a thick, like fleshy tail, and like it had like smaller forearms and like a really big head, and it looked like a really dangerous predator, and they actually thought they were gonna die. They were terrified. And so, but when they asked what the creature looked like, they described it as having somewhere in between a fur and feathers, because it didn't look like feathers, but it also didn't look like fur. And back in the days, the cryptids actually, thought that like, well, it can't be a dinosaur because dinosaurs didn't have feathers, right? Because they didn't know that dinosaurs had feathers back in 1985. But then in 1990, I believe, is when we found out that some dinosaurs might have had feathers, and now we believe that a lot of dinosaurs had feathers. So the thing about this story is, if you are trying to come up with a believable story and you're just coming up with a story, why would you describe this creature to have something that looks like a feathery coat, right? So that kind of fascinates me a lot, because what if, just what if, something like this actually did exist? So they went there, because in this area you can't go there without a permit, by the way. So it's a gigantic natural reserve, and you can't go there without a permit. So if you have like some scientists went there, they asked the indigenous people there about this kind of creature, and apparently they know everything about it. It's like a normal animal in their environment, and they just, it's been told, like the stories have been told like from generations to generations, and sometimes people have actually seen it. And they do describe it as a lizard that walks on his hind legs, and it has a feathery coat. So, you know, it's really fascinating. That's what this is kind of like based on. So what do you guys think? We are specifically adapted to the 20 to 21% oxygen. If we would at what even 3% above that, we would not be able to stay in homeostasis, and then we would probably collapse. Inside body can't handle changes really well. What are you talking about, Method? How would the human body handle the higher levels of oxygen during the time of the dinosaurs? Not very good. Ah, that's what you're talking about. Okay. No, it's not a comic. So what I like to do, by the way, a dinosaur noob, is I like to draw these little panels where I can just do a really quick sketch so that I don't have to like fill in the whole page, if that makes sense. So I'm actually about to make another drawing over here. Like let's just make a panel that is more like this. Alright, so what should I draw here? Give me a scene. I really do not understand why it's like adjusting it so much though. Oh, I'm also using the wrong pen. Alright. Oh wait, what did I just do? Alright, it's fine. Method. So we'd likely suffocate from the higher oxygen levels. Spinosaurus mirabilis. Alright, I'll look up a picture. It's a new Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe this might actually be a really good panel for that, because now we can kind of see it from the front view, you know? Maybe it's like looking down a little bit. Wait, Method responded with, "Oh, dinosaur drawer, I might know why it possibly looks like a dinosaur. Convergent evolution, a process in which entirely different species evolve in a similar way. We would suffocate, we would overdose." Oh, that's the response on the oxygen problem. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I'm thinking of an example of like, because fish have scales, but then lizards and you know, reptiles and stuff also have scales, and then we have the thing about feathers and stuff like that, and yeah. Alright, let's see how we can draw this. Alright, let's just draw it really roughly first. So the head would be somewhere over here. He would be looking down like that. And then we would have the body would be over here maybe. Tail would kind of be out of the shot, but then we would still have this big sail that we can see. Right, and then Spinosaurus also had really big, strong hands, and I mean arms. You would see that. And then the legs would be a lot shorter than normal theropod legs, right? So it would kind of look like that. And this would kind of be the ground already. Well, no, that's maybe they should be a little longer. What am I doing? Wrong button, my bad. Alright, so this one shouldn't be that long. And then we have the cuff muscle over there, ankle. Something like that. The other foot would be right there. And it's just standing there. It's just standing there, looking around itself. Like maybe it's like trying to look at a sound. It just heard something, and just checking it out. Right, Spinosaurus. Maybe the head should not be that big. I made the head a little too big. Wait, let's adjust that a little bit. We're gonna put the head right here, and then something like this. It has like an indentation right there, and then this part of the skull just goes straight, and of course it gets a little wider the further you get back to its like the base of the skull. Something like that. And then lower jaw. Maybe the lower jaw should be a little bit more further forwards, like that. And then right here we would have this really weird looking unicorn like horn. And then the neck could go further back like this, because we do know the Spinosaurus had a pretty long neck, right? I should probably make the neck even longer. I don't like how the neck looks right now. So let's make the neck a little bit more like it's curving around like that. Yeah. All right. And then maybe this is supposed to be a little bit, yeah. So this is at the front, it should be a little bit less high, the sail. And then at the back, it should be a little bit higher. Right behind the hip, it kind of starts to go down a little bit more. And then the tail should be a little higher, I guess, because it's more accurate. And maybe I'm thinking about like making the head bigger, because actually the head is pretty large compared to what I've drawn it here. So let's make it a little bigger. Why am I unable to draw straight lines? Alright, and then we should also make the bottom jaw bigger. Way too big. So it's really hard to draw on this drawing tablet for me. I'm not used to it, but I'm guessing the more I'm gonna draw with it, the faster I will get used to it. Alright. Okay, and now we just need to draw like a little bit of a chest area to make sure that we know where everything is going to be connected. And then this will be the rib cage, and I think I made this a little bit too thick because Spinosaurus would have been a little bit more like longer, but not as thick as like some other theropod dinosaurs. And maybe it would hold its arms a little bit more further back like this. Then we would have 1 claw, 2, 3. Probably you would have pretty thick arms. And then this one would also kind of doing the same thing. Something like that. And maybe it is kind of like standing in like a watery area. You can kind of see the reflection of the Spinosaurus in the water. Very distorted and everything. And then the eye would be pretty far back actually, like a little further back than this. This is... I almost got it right though. I would have probably been somewhere over there, a lot smaller. And then we have the nostril, which is almost like... Where is the nostril actually? It's like over here somewhere. Over here. Alright, so now we're gonna like bring down the opacity and we're gonna draw over it. With something else. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Maybe I should not be zoomed in this far, but like it's fine. I think that one's good. Alright, so then go ahead and we're gonna this is so difficult for me. I'm telling you, man, this is so difficult to get this right. Like the angle of the eye doesn't even look right. I need to actually think about the angle of the eye. So it's not completely round, even though if it would be round, you still wouldn't see a rounded eye from this. It's way too big. I'll just leave it like this for now. Okay, then we would have this eye ridge is like pretty prominent on the reference that I'm using. By the way, the reference that I'm using, he or she is not standing in this pose. This is just a pose that I just came up with. I am so bad at this, man. But I mean, I'm trying. It's way too wide. I can't. I can't. I'm trying. It's still gonna look messy no matter what I do, so you just have to accept it. Okay. Rainy, yes, that is true. The more time you spend on drawing on your tablet, the better and quicker your drawing will be. That's true. That is true. It is just really difficult to adjust to these kinds of things. But this is easier to stream like this, because for some reason when I stream on my phone, when I'm trying to like do traditional art, it just zooms in really awkwardly. And I can't get it to like use a different camera, and that camera is like pretty bad because I have a different set of cameras on my phone, you know, like. Alright, there we go. And now this hand. Inside of the hands would always be very like meaty. But I think my hands look too small. Like Spinosaurus definitely had bigger arms. But the problem is like I'm so focused on like like drawing straight lines that like my sense of perspective is kind of getting messed up a little bit. I'll just draw the line for the rib cage over there. There we go. And then the leg would be right there. We're not gonna put too much detail into this because it's like, well, we can kind of indicate that there could be webbing, because I believe that they've been talking about the fact that Spinosaurus might have had webbing in between the toes. It's really interesting as well. And then that part of the leg should be pretty short. Alright, there we go. Spinosaurus mirabilis. I'm trying to indicate that maybe Spinosaurus could have had something that looks a lot like the pelican skin kind of thingy, you know, because I think that we know that Irritator had a jaw that can like open really wide, and this part of the jaw can like some part of the jaw can like disconnect so that it creates a bigger area to swallow prey with, and it looks a lot like a pelican. So that's why I think that maybe Spinosaurus could have also had that. You never know what they're gonna discover. Maybe this is not the right kind of... Alright, there we have the Spinosaurus mirabilis. Let's turn on this layer again and see what it looks like. Ah, yeah, I mean, can't be helped, you know. It's just gonna always be there. It's alright though, it's alright. Alright, there we go. We have a couple of little drawings that we did. Let me read the chat real quick. You won't get the drawing 100% right the first time. Just study the drawing and see where you got wrong and do a redraw. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But the thing is, I'm used to drawing traditionally. So like if I'm gonna draw circles on this drawing tablet, I can just never draw circles, you know. But in real life, it's a bit easier. Like for example, I'll just show you like a comparison of what it looks like, right? So let's say I'm drawing circles on traditional paper, right? Then the circles would connect, they would look like that. But if I'm drawing circles here, the circles look like this compared to the ones that I can draw with traditional. So everything that I'm drawing on a tablet or a drawing tablet is always gonna look significantly less good than what I can draw on normal paper. I know the dromaeosaurids that didn't have webbing between its toes given the configuration, and that it had a sickle-like claw on its middle toe. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Spinosaurus are not dromaeosaurids, right? If I'm right. I don't know. I don't think they are. The Spinosaurus drawing looks nice. Thank you, man. Thank you. I can't draw a circle free-handed for the life of me. Hence why I use a coin. I mean, yeah, you can use a coin as well. If it works, it works, you know, but just imagine, like, alright, just imagine, right? If you draw everything the way that I draw it, like, I always use, like, well, like, kind of like a skeleton. Like, if I'm drawing a dinosaur that is just standing there, let's just draw a dinosaur that... Okay, that's the head. That's the body. That's the tail. And then we would have a leg like this. Then we would have a leg like that. And then over here we would have an arm, another arm. And then from here you can just, you know, draw whatever you want to draw. If you're gonna draw it like this, then maybe it can be helpful if you would draw it, if you would be able to like just draw a circle whenever you needed to draw a circle, if that makes sense. Yeah. Alright, do you only draw theropods or all paleoart? I mostly draw dinosaurs, and to be honest, like, theropod dinosaurs are the easiest to draw. Because, okay, so just imagine, right, you have to draw something that looks like a bird. Wait, let's redo that. Alright, let's do that again. Alright, just imagine Let's make it a little bit thicker. That's thick enough. Yeah. Alright, let's imagine that you would have to draw something that looks like something you already know, like a bird. Head, neck, body, tail, one leg on the ground, the other leg, like that, right? So this is pretty simple because there's not really that much of complexity. It's just one leg on the ground, the other one is on, is off the ground. But now you're gonna have to draw something that has, alright, it has a body, right, and it has 4 legs on the ground. Well, how is it gonna be walking, right? But let's first continue. Okay, so body, neck, head, hip, tail, right? And now I want it to be walking forwards. So one leg would be like that. Very complicated because, first we're gonna have to draw something that this leg would also be attached to the ground. And then how is this leg gonna be? Maybe this leg is a little bit more like this, lifting it up, putting it down like that, and then this one would be like right there. This makes it so much more complicated, like the legs and the positions like the leg should be in, that I would rather just draw something that is easy and simple, just 2 legs, 2 moving parts that you have to, keep in mind, instead of 4 separate pieces that are like moving in their own way. That makes it more difficult. So that's why I personally draw more theropod dinosaurs than plant eating herbivore dinosaurs. Yeah. Okay. The YouTuber How to Draw Animals said a way to draw a circle traditionally and free-handed is use your marks to indicate the circle's height and width. Yeah, that can definitely work. I've drawn a few herbivores such as Ankylosaurus. The guidelines on that was a nightmare. It is. Ankylosaurs are super hard and complex. That's true. Rainer said Stegosaurus was a nightmare to draw, but mainly its dorsal plates. I would 100% agree with that. That's really hard. Method said, yeah, I find drawing the plates really hard as well. Yeah, the plates are really hard, especially like if you're drawing everything from the side perspective. It's not that bad, but like if you're drawing everything from like wait, let me quickly draw something here. So if you're drawing the plates from the side perspective, it's not really that bad because you can just do it like this, right? And then you can go back in, like I could go back in and like refine everything a little bit more. Oh, I'm zoomed in way too much. I can't even refine this, but like, you can change the shape a little bit and refine this. But the problem arises when you're gonna have to do this in different poses. When it's like slightly facing you, for example, it's gonna get really hard. Given the fact that they vary in size. Yeah, true. Also, just their shapes are so irregular. Well, the main thing you have to pay attention to in Stegosaurus is that the biggest plate is right above the hip, and then the size starts to decrease again. It's like how do you say this? Yeah, like you can basically see it like this, right? And this is basically the shape of the Stegosaurus. So maybe a little bit more like this. And then here you just draw the plates according to, and that's basically how I try to look at Stegosaurus. It makes it way easier in my opinion. Oh, you mean like they overlap each other? That's true, but it's not that hard though. Like you just add like a little bit of a curved line in between, and then you basically have a pretty decent Stegosaurus, and you can always go in later and like change the shape to like more accurate to the Stegosaurus, you know? Make it a little bit more pointy maybe. And then something like that. They're inspired by Stegosaurus, the Godzilla dorsal plates. I didn't know that. Yeah, I never knew that. Let's try to see Stegosaurus from a different view, different point of view. I'm just gonna try to do the same, mimic the same thing as what I did here, except the difference is that now the perspective is a little different. So the same thing applies, but now instead of them going like straight up, they're going to the side a little bit more like this, and on this side they're going to that side a little bit more, and that's what makes it so hard, getting the right angle. But this is something that really helps to see this Stegosaurus in a different way, you know, like to try to see the Stegosaurus in a way of like where it's more predictable where the spines are going to be, you know. Rainer said method. When creating Godzilla, Toho uses the dorsal plates of Stegosaurus, the arms of Iguanodon, and the tripod posture of T-Rex that was seen in the early movies before Jurassic Park came out. Now that's pretty cool. When I draw the Ankylosaurus, by the way, I kind of do the same thing as what I did here. I just see it as like Ankylosaurus would have like a pretty rounded body, right? And then the head would be like just a circle like that. And then I would imagine that right here we would have a line or the belly, you know, and it would like go around it, so you wouldn't really be able to see that part of the tail. And then the tail would be like going out like that. And then here we would have these really big spikes coming out. And I would draw like a couple lines like this and just create these things on top of them. As long as you just pay attention to the perspective as well, because sometimes you're going to get into a situation where some areas are going to be covered by other areas of the body. something like that. Let's see. Rainer, you know what was the hardest part of drawing Ankylosaurus? It's the shape of the osteoderms that covered its back and tail. What do you mean? You mean like, because I think they're just bumps, right? Like if this is like, just look at a what is it called? Wait. Oh wow, I'm going to rewatch this and improve. I hope this really helps for some people. Mostly find their head and perspective difficult. It is very difficult because, like, if you're just gonna draw it like this, it's just gonna be standing here, right? But if you're gonna draw the Ankylosaurus when it's actually moving around, I have a lot of difficulty with them moving around, because how are you gonna move something that, like, this is basically its torso, right? How does this bend and like flex, and I don't even know. So what I always do is like I always try to like make the tail kind of like the most flexible part of the Ankylosaurus, and then have the head like kind of looking at us like this maybe, and then just have the front legs a little bit more like closer to the ground than the hind legs, because it's like lifting up its tail a little bit maybe, you know. And then you can't really see its belly because it's like kind of like rolling its body towards us because it sees us as the predator, right? So it's kind of like rolling its tail like this. Right? And then we see the top of its back a little bit like this. Something like that, and then the spikes would be kind of like pointing downwards a little bit. And then the osteoderms, I don't know what you mean if like you struggle with the osteoderms, because it should not, you can make, if you can make it easy, you should always make it easier for yourself. Just use a lot of reference and a lot of like reference lines, especially. That's what I do as well, and it really helps me to know where I am and how to follow the right shapes. Something like that at least. Maybe face is not alright. It looks so messy, but like this is like the basic, you know, and you can erase it and then just go over it with like a sharper pencil or a sharper pointed pencil. Throughout films and documentaries, the osteoderms vary in shape. That is true. That's why usually when I draw it, I just like to look at something that looks good to me, and I try to use that as much as possible. But yeah, I don't know. It's like it's a little bit of like a personal preference, I guess, because I draw stuff that looks very Jurassic Park like, you know. But some people like to draw something that looks like, for example, there's some people that like to draw a T-Rex like this. Alright, let's just draw a T-Rex. and then a big belly and a tail, right? There's a lot of people that like to draw dinosaurs like this, which is fine. If this is the way that you want to improve your art, then just do it in this way. Now, if this is the way you like to draw, do it in that way. It's all down to like personal preference. But what I like is I like to take Jurassic Park stuff and I like to, like, you know, try to draw a cool scene with it. Rainer said even T-Rex would normally retreat because one good swing from the bony club on the tail could easily shatter a leg. True. That's completely true. Method said, I'm gonna have to go. I need my EP time. Good night. Chat, good night, dinosaur drawer, and keep on cooking. I might be motivated to draw Stego and Ankylo more tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, you should record that actually. Then I can see what you made. A dinosaur noob said Tyrannosaurus would ambush, but immediately. Wait, but in intimidation, you know. Yeah, it would feel very intimidated because of Ankylosaurus. Rainer, I need to draw T-Rex from front as most drawings have it drawn from the side. Yeah, but what do you mean from the front? Like, what kind of perspective? Like straight up from the front? The thing about drawing stuff from like straight up front perspective is, in my opinion, it's a little boring because you don't really have that much stuff to play with, right? For example, this is a Rex, but if you can only see it from the front view, right, then the only thing you will see is this area, this area, this area, and maybe part of the side of the body over here, probably part of the leg, and you would be able to see the whole leg over here, whole leg over there, one little claw like coming from underneath the jaw line of the like the bottom jaw of the T-Rex. You would see this arm probably, and maybe part of that arm, but that's all you can see. That's all. There's not really much you can see. It would kind of look like this. So how I would draw it is like this, right? So we would start here with the eyebrows, and then the eyebrows would kind of go inwards, and then we would have the snout over here, pretty big, line like that, and then this line would go like this, then this line would go like that outwards. Alright, and then we would have the bottom jaw connect to that as well. And then we would have the bottom jaw kind of like this. And then this is kind of what you would have if you would draw the T-Rex from the front perspective. The problem with this is that it's just really basic. Oh, I just made a mistake. Straight from the front, like the viewer is at eye level with T-Rex. I need to get better at drawing from different angles. Do you know how to draw Tyrannosaurus accurately? The thing is, you know, I can draw anything if I look at an image, you know, but I was concentrated for a second there. T-Rex is something that I've drawn so often that I basically I always try to draw the same kind of thing, you know. Alright, so the viewer is standing on a platform, and that makes us able to see the whole body of the T-Rex. We see these arms, claws, right, and then we see kind of like this thing over here. Then we would be able to see his legs come out and then go back inwards like this, and then this leg come out and then go back inwards like that. Maybe it's like behind the other leg and something like this, and maybe you would be able to see the tail right there. This leg is closest, so it looks a little bigger in comparison with the other leg. And maybe the knee should be a little lower as well, like that. And then this knee is a little higher up because it is flexing its foot like that. And then one toe is visible over there, the other toe is visible over there, the other toe is still in the air. Is this kind of what you were talking about? Raina said, I always find it funny that the Jurassic Park design makes T-Rex look like it's angry constantly. Yeah, true, it does. As in scientifically accurate. So from the front, the visible part of the torso would be a semicircle. It depends on the shape of. So for example, like here, we would still see part of the neck, because like, you know, that's basically what we're looking at right here. Then we would, how do you say this? All right, so we're gonna break down the T-Rex. We're gonna break down the anatomy of the T-Rex. T-Rex basically, the head is about the same size as. Okay, first we're gonna start with an oval, right? This is gonna be the body. Then over here we're gonna draw a circle. That's gonna be the hip area. And then over here we're gonna draw a circle, which is gonna be the head. T-Rex's head is about the same size as from the hip to his front arms, right? So this area, this is about the same size as the head of the T-Rex. I made the neck way too long though. I'm gonna have to adjust that real quick. There we go. So the neck should be a little shorter. Pretty big head, right? And then the neck would kind of like be attached like that. The back. And then the tail would kind of be lower than the head itself. Probably. Like that. And then we just draw the neck a little, like pretty chunky. Little front paw or arm, whatever you call that. And then here we would have the front leg attached to the body, and we can just draw it like this. It's very simple. If you just break it down, right, everything gets way more simpler. And actually the T-Rex is pretty chunky, so we're gonna make him look a little bit more chunky. Alright, so this actually has three-dimensional shapes in it as well. The rib cage is not just a flat, like it doesn't, let's say like we're turning it around like this, right? Then that doesn't mean that it suddenly is flat. The oval is flat. No. We have the rib cage on this side, but we also have the rib cage on that side now, right? And then over here we would draw a circle for the connection point of the neck, right? The neck would go up like that, and then attached to this area we would have the head, which is also not flat, because now I'm just drawing it flat, right? I'm just drawing a line through the middle. But on this side we would also see part of the head still, right? Then we have to look at the top of the head. Well, the top of the head is probably going to be flat like that, and then the top of the snout is probably going to be rounded like that, right? And if you follow these steps and you just keep on thinking about how everything would look, you know, in a three-dimensional space, then you will end up with something that will start to look a lot more like whatever you're trying to draw. The tail, though, you don't really see much of it, but this basically still applies, but it gets thinner if you look at it from the front view, because the leg, I'm talking about the leg, but I have to specify that. So let's say like the leg, I've done this in other streams as well. Leg of a dinosaur, right? Alright, so let's say there's a bone going through it, right? So most of the muscles are attached to the bone front and back, because the dinosaur needs to be able to have this type of motion, right, with the legs. Alright, it does not need the leg to flex, like for example if this is the leg, right, it does not need the leg to go that way. So that means that muscles will not be abundant on the side. That's why if you look at if you look at the leg from the side perspective, it looks like this, but when you look at the leg from the front perspective, it looks a lot thinner, just like humans. Right? So that also applies to everything else in this drawing. You just have to make sure that you look at things in a three-dimensional world instead of like trying to copy whatever you're. So the thing is, a lot of people will copy a drawing, right? Like let's say we're drawing this Stegosaurus again, and they will just, you know, follow these lines, right? This is pretty easy from the side perspective, but what if the perspective changes? Now you have a completely different field, like a completely different area that you didn't have before. Like for example, we're gonna draw the same thing, this triangular shape, right? Tail is gonna be here, body is gonna be here. Why do we only see this part of the tail? Well, because the body is blocking it over here. See, like the body is kind of like, this is the body, right? But then the legs are sticking out even more than the body. So that means that you barely see any of the tail. Like this whole area of the tail will be gone. You can only see this part of the tail. So we're gonna have to pay attention to that. So then we know that everything on the front is gonna be a little bit bigger, you know? Like for example, the head would be like right there. It's pretty big compared to the tail, right? Even though the tail is about the same size as the head over there. Well, that's because of the perspective. And of course, you have to think about the three-dimensional shapes, because you kind of see, because of this perspective, you kind of see part of that side of the body as well now. Because if I would draw a line through the body, or like in the middle, like the spine, kind of be over here, you kind of see part of that side of the body. But that means that now you cannot just go in and put in these what are they called? I forgot. Those plates, because now you have to pay attention to the fact that they have to be pointing slightly bit more to that side, instead of just having the, like, if you would just draw them straight up, it wouldn't fit the perspective, and you wouldn't really be able to fit another row next to it. So that's why you have to kind of draw them like at an angle pointing that way. So now we're gonna have enough room to draw a second row on the other side, and those you just point the other way, right? There you go. And if you just pay attention to the three-dimensional shapes of every animal that you draw, it can be dinosaurs, it can be other animals. If you just pay attention to these kind of things, then it will automatically get easier to draw things in different perspectives or in different kind of views. Okay, let's see. Gotta go soon. Yeah, I need to go soon as well. So this is only just to give you guys some, you know, some guidelines and stuff. Something like that. I'm gonna go in 1 minute. Alright, see you, man. Have a good one. Drawing Stegosaurus from a 3/4 front view, the lateral row of the dorsal plates would point outwards at an angle like you mentioned. Dinosaur drawing. Yeah, true. But this applies to everything. This applies to every dinosaur, every animal, every human, everything. It applies to everything. We did draw a lot though. Like, this is I hope that this is not too much information, and I hope that people actually learn from this. I'm gonna have to go now though, but thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys in the next stream.